The rain fell steady that December evening, turning the city streets into rivers of reflected light. Sarah Mitchell stood at the corner of 5th and Main, her thin coat soaked through as she clutched her 3-month-old daughter, Emma, close to her chest. Behind her, she could hear Michael's voice cutting through the downpour, angry, relentless, and far too familiar. She had left him 3 weeks ago and moved to a women's shelter across town. But somehow he always managed to find her. Tonight she had only gone out to buy baby formula from the pharmacy. When she spotted his car parked across the street, she knew what was coming. Now she was running again, her worn-out shoes splashing through puddles, her baby starting to cry from the cold. "Sarah, get back here!" His voice was closer now, echoing off the wet pavement. Her heart hammered against her ribs as she rounded the corner, praying for somewhere, anywhere, to hide. And then she saw it. A black sedan idling by the curb, engine humming, wipers sweeping back and forth in a steady rhythm. Through the rain-streaked window, she saw a man sitting inside, his face softly lit by the glow of his phone. Without thinking, without any other option, she yanked open the passenger door and slid inside, her breath ragged, water dripping from her hair onto the leather seat. "Please," she gasped. "Can I hide in your car? Just for a minute, please. I have my baby." The man looked up from his phone. He had kind eyes, maybe in his 50s, with streaks of silver running through his dark hair. His suit looked expensive, and there was something about him that radiated quiet authority. He didn't hesitate. "Lock the door," he said calmly, his voice deep and steady. Sarah fumbled for the lock just as Michael appeared at the corner, his expression twisted with rage. He stormed toward the car, pounding on the window. "Sarah! I know you're in there." The man, whose name she would later learn was Vincent Romano, lowered the window just an inch. When he spoke, his voice was calm but carried a weight that made Michael falter. "The lady doesn't want to talk to you." "Walk away." "That's my girlfriend," Michael snapped. "That's my kid." Vincent's eyes didn't waver. "No," he said firmly. "If she's running from you in the rain with a baby, she's not yours anymore. She's made her choice. Now make yours. Walk away or I make a phone call." Something in his tone made Michael's anger shrink. He stared through the glass at the older man, and whatever he saw there made him take a step back. Without another word, he turned and disappeared into the rain. Sarah sat frozen, trembling, her baby whimpering softly against her chest. Then the tears came, not from fear this time, but from pure relief. For the first time in years, she felt safe. Vincent reached into the back seat and pulled out a wool blanket, gently handing it to her. "It's all right now," he said quietly. She wrapped Emma in the blanket, her hands still shaking. "Thank you," she whispered. "I didn't know what else to do." "You did the right thing," Vincent replied, starting the car and pulling away from the curb. "Where can I take you?" "The shelter on Maple Street," she said softly. Vincent nodded but didn't drive straight there. Instead, he pulled into a small diner a few blocks away. "When's the last time you ate something warm?" he asked. "This morning." "But I don't have any money," she admitted, her voice small. He gave her a long look, the kind of father gives his child before making up his mind. "I have a daughter," he said finally. "She's 30 now. When she was your age, she found herself in a situation not so different from yours. If a stranger hadn't helped her that night..." He paused, his jaw tightening. "Let me pay it forward." Inside the diner, the smell of coffee and soup filled the air. Vincent ordered sandwiches and soup for both of them, and Sarah fed Emma from a small bottle she'd brought. Slowly warmth returned to her body, and to her spirit. "I don't understand," she said softly. "Why are you being so kind to a stranger?" Vincent smiled faintly, stirring his coffee. "In my line of work, I don't often get the chance to do something simple and good. No strings, no agenda, just help someone who needs it." Sarah looked down at Emma, who was now asleep in her arms. "The shelter has a program," she said quietly. "Job training, childcare. I was studying to be a teacher before. Everything happened. Maybe I can still do that." "You will," Vincent said with conviction. He reached into his jacket, pulled out a business card, and wrote something on the back. "This is my number. If that man bothers you again, if anyone bothers you, you call me, understood?" Sarah took the card with trembling hands. "Who are you?" she asked. Vincent looked at her for a long moment. "Someone who knows what it's like to make mistakes," he said. "And someone who believes that what you do when someone needs help, that's what defines you." Later that night, He dropped her off at the shelter and waited until she and Emma were safely inside before driving away. Sarah stood at the window, watching the car's taillights fade into the rain. She clutched the card tightly in her hand. She never had to use that number. Michael never came back. But Sarah kept the card in her wallet for years, through college, through her first teaching job, through Emma's first day of kindergarten. It became a quiet reminder that kindness still existed in the world, that sometimes help came from the most unexpected places, and that one act of compassion could change everything. Years later, as Sarah waited at a bus stop one rainy evening, she saw a young woman standing there, cold, scared, clutching a baby. She recognized that same look in her eyes, that look of desperation she once had. Without hesitation, she offered her car, her warmth, and her hope. Because that's what Vincent Romano had given her that rainy December night. Not just safety, but the belief that people could still be good. That it was never too late to start over. And that sometimes the smallest acts of kindness echo through generations.